Hey, Ma, do you know what burst my bubble?
What burst your bubble?
Obviously, the dependency on you at 35 years old. And I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad necessarily, because there are people who have it worse, that are homeless, that are in group homes. But, being dependent on your mother at 35 years old isn't living the dream, to quote Will Ferrell from a movie. You know what I mean?
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Can you honestly answer this to yourself and to me?
Yeah.
Do you put everything that you can into being independent, living independent from me?
Well, ideally, what I've been trying to do to get independent, and what I thought my ticket to riches and fame was social media content. I think my video, I know it's delusional, you're shaking your head, but I know it's delusional. They tell me these videos, these social media content aren't my ticket to making myself a movie star, or the next Vincent van Gogh or John Lennon. I know, obviously, like Dr. Garrett says, what if your mother said, you know what, I'm going to sell the house, and I'm not sell the house, but I'm going to sit inside and focus all my time and energy onto creating artwork. That's all I'm going to do all day long. I'm not going to work. I'm not going to make any money. I'm not going to do the bills. You know what would happen? The electricity would get shut off, and the house would be taken away. So, while obviously the social media addiction, it's like, you need to have adult responsibilities. You need to work towards getting a grasp on reality. Not sitting in what feels like solitary confinement, posting on social media, hoping you're going to be a viral internet superstar and become rich and famous from it. Really what that is that's to take it to a solitary Joanne Greenberg daydream land where you're alone in your head and pouring your life down the drain.
I'd add this interestingly in this post. I was driving home from the store, and on the radio they were talking about Sylvester Stallone. You know who he's an actor.
Yeah.
And he said that, just because you have money, he said, doesn't mean you don't have the same problems that everybody else does.
Right.
And the talk show host that was on there,
a
guy, I don't know what his name was, he said, yeah, but having money gives you a certain amount of freedom.
Yeah.
That was his take on that.
So in a way...
then the girl said, the other girl host said, it gives you freedom, yes. Like, for instance, if the phone rings and you don't want to answer the phone and you have money, you don't have to answer that phone because you have money. But the key to peace in your mind, is that you're independent. So I agree with him in the sense that having a certain amount of independence to make decisions for yourself, not necessarily rich, but having some money to make things easier is important. But having family, religion, faith, and a mental and physical health, I believe is the key to finding peace in your life.
No, I know. And ultimately, I'm dependent on you at the moment, and the loss of a loved one will be heartbreaking regardless of if I'm dependent on you or not. But now I don't have enough money to afford that apartment, back there. So let's say, God forbid, you passed away. Not only would it be heartbreaking, the loss of a loved one, I could potentially be homeless if we don't prepare for that,
But that's what we're doing. That is what we are doing.
Yeah, so obviously, while an assisted living group home isn't living the dream either, that is, obviously I won't be on the street and won't be homeless if, you pass away.
And you've got a lot of people, organizations, all wrapped around you. A lot of these people on the streets of New York City right now, they have where were their families that they didn't care about them? Where were the organizations that failed them?
Right.
That's near and dear to my heart.
You don't come to the realization, unless you're like the son of a millionaire or a billionaire, nobody cares about you. Nobody cares if you get cancer. Nobody cares if you die. Nobody cares at all. You know what I mean?
Well, and an illness that's insidious and unpredictable even makes it harder, because sometimes individuals don't want their family's help, or they run away from their family.
Yeah, and then when you make yourself successful, then everybody's like, oh, look at Andrew. Andrew's charming, and yes, he suffered tremendously, but he's handsome and he's charming. There's people in these psychosocial clubhouses and mental health recovery groups that have struggled a lot worse than me. But you know what? I'm handsome. I'm charming. I look like Mr. Sexy back. And people empathize with me because of how handsome and what a good speaker I am. And they're going to be like, oh, Andrew's suffering tremendously. But trust me, there's people like Rich Courage, The Last Jet Dance of Homeless. The guy was practically, his stories about homelessness and tragedy, I bet you, although I have suffered tremendously, there's no question, I bet you my suffering is, nowhere near compared to his. You know what I mean?
Everybody suffers in different ways,
Yeah.
and it's all.
I mean, it's apples and oranges. I'm not living the
and
dream.
everybody's level of coping. is
Like Will
different.
Ferrell, I'm not living the dream being dependent on you here.
No, but
but
everybody's-
you know,
You've had it hard.
but I've had it really hard. I have had it really hard.
And you know what? With adversity sometimes comes strength. So take those lessons and grow from them and be strong. Like humbling yourself
Right.
to know that you can grow and you can be, and helping others is healing to oneself.
Exactly, and that is
What it is.
What it